super blood wolf epiphany. And I mean that. I've been struck the whole time since probably Thanksgiving. I've been struck with a profound sense of gratitude. We're way off the Episcopalian playbook. I came here in 1995 for a 2-year contract. And actually, it should be where you're just tired of all of this, and we shake hands and go our different ways. That's not what's happening. I'm experiencing a total renewal, a total sense of how fresh and how powerful and how poignant things are in the valley and our world between us. It is a privilege weekly to serve you. And so since Thanksgiving, I've been having this kind of gratitude party. I speak with a gentleman weekly. He's a voice of wisdom in my life. And we were talking this past week, and he said, Brooks, don't you know you're a priest, for goodness sake? A grateful heart will never be disappointed. And then we both said the corollary at the same time. An ungrateful heart can never be satisfied. A grateful heart can never be disappointed. When I told the children the story about the wedding, it was in a little village just adjacent to Cana. My Palestinian colleague lived in a little town called Reyne, and this was in the little village church in Reyne. My timestamps with the children were very correct. We walked into the service at 11 a.m. in the morning. We walked out at 11:30 to the reception. We came back home at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I want to tell you, to see a grandmother dance like that is simply a sight to behold. They know, amidst horrific difficulties, they knew how to celebrate. And they taught me something about how to celebrate people getting married. You're supposed to be so full, your stomach hurts, drenched in sweat, every part of your body and mind is completely engaged. That's the way to do it. Now, knowing that, in the same area, right next to this, where our story takes place in the gospel today, and yes, I paused at the exact wrong time. Please don't hear this as the Episcopalian story in John, okay? Everybody with me about that? Okay, right, good. Should never have paused there in the gospel reading. Can you imagine at your weddings what would have happened if you had run out of wine? This is not just an ancient story. Can you imagine how humiliating and embarrassing it would be to run out of anything at a wedding? And this is why people do destination resort weddings, is to pay 4 times what you pay anywhere else for the same thing. But we have to have enough. We have to have enough. Can you imagine the couple whose wedding I attended in a small village? If they had run out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they would have been branded. It took me attending the wedding to understand the background of the story. They would have been branded for the rest of their lives, publicly humiliated, because they didn't have enough. Etiquette and hospitality in the ancient world was a huge deal. It's a big deal today. And so the mother of Jesus, never named Mary, but that's who it is, understands both the crisis and who Jesus really is. And Mary says to Jesus, in that beautifully subtle way that mothers have, one sentence on the page, 5 paragraphs off the page by inference, Jesus, could you fix this so that they're okay? A grateful heart can never be disappointed. And so, there I was this week. I don't know if you know that we share offices at the Vail Chapel. There's a building behind the chapel called Ministry Center, and we share offices with several other congregations, Jewish, Lutheran, Presbyterian. The Baptists come around sometimes. The Catholic priest makes an appearance. We share a lot of the offices, and we work so closely together. We've gotten to be friends over these years, and sometimes we take a break in the middle of the day. We call it a coffee break, or in the Episcopalian language, hospitality. If you've ever traveled with Episcopalians, you know what I'm talking about, right? Hospitality. So we just take a step off the line, take a breath, and talk about each other's lives. So we have, in our group at the Vail Ministry Center, one of the administrators of another congregation is one of our young, rising stars wedding planner in Vail. She's millennial, and it's a lot of fun. We have one here today on the altar. Carolyn Norman is a wedding planner as well, by the way. They're fantastic. So we're talking over this coffee break about what's going on, and our friend says, my gosh, I'm not busy with weddings, I'm busy with proposals. I've got a lot of proposals happening on the mountain. And I'm like, I didn't know you were that popular. And she says, no. People hire me to do proposals. I said, pardon me? And so she gets hired by people that are not from here. Now, every woman here, just think about this for a second. Generally the men, I bet you agree with that, generally the men call our millennial wedding planner to set up a proposal that the girlfriend or the potential bride does not know about. So they go skiing on the mountain, one day, and he says something like, oh, my feet hurt, maybe we should stop here. Or they're walking through the Vail Village at night, and he says, gosh, I think I'd like to go to dinner there. This has been prearranged for a while. Because, when men get romantic and they want to do something beautiful for someone they love, what do? They hire somebody to help them. How special is that? And so, they pull off to their favorite overlook, and she starts to understand that the rose petals that are laid out are leading them down a path to this dramatic overlook. And then she comes into view, and there's some champagne flutes with cold champagne bottle there at this overlook, from far from anywhere on the mountain. And then chocolates spread around. And before the astonished young woman fully realizes what's happening, because men know the only way she's going to say yes is by surprise, he drops to one knee as the professional photographer emerges from the tree to digitally capture this romantic, intimate moment. And as he asks her to marry him, with the photographer snapping away, her entire family from Australia emerges from the shadows. Now we're listening to this story. This happens several times a weekend. And I had one question over coffee. Can anybody, for extra bonus points, if we know each other, guess the one question that I have about this scenario of a proposal? What if she says no? Helen Hebert asks, and how much does this cost? God, the romance. So, and by the way, what if she says no, or how much does this cost? And I'm thinking, and put several adjectives in the middle of that sentence, can you imagine? Seriously, honestly, what if he had done that to you? My God, oh my God. Somewhere in the discussion, I felt empathy for these poor men. Because there's 4 times in our lives as men when we're supposed to show loving emotion to the person that we marry. And this is probably one of those 4 times. So we should kind of do our very best. So men get, at this very primal level, yes, with professional assistance, that they're symbols and signs of love. And that we should bring every symbol and sign of love forward. To say, in every language we know how to say, we love you. We want you to be with us forever. This is how we know to say it. And we want to be really clear that you get the message. Now, I want to stand up for the men in this scenario to say there's worse things a guy can do than to hire someone that knows how to do this. Yes, the Australian family coming in is a bit over the top, a little pressurized. But I mean, it is interesting, isn't it? You know, a grateful heart is never disappointed. What God says in the readings today, and in this marriage at Cana, Jesus says, God loves you this much. How much? How many stone jars were there? You laugh, so let me just say, how many? 6. Each one holding, Tom? 30 gallons. Tom took the high number, of course. How much does God love us? How much does God show up when we need Him to? That much. That much. How much love should be between husbands and wives? That much. I said to Stephanie at the end of this discussion, I said to my friend at the end of this discussion, do you know what I think we should do? We should take couples that have been married 20, 30, and 40 years and give them the proposal. Can you imagine married wives at a proposal at 30 or 40 years? They'd walk up, grab all the candy, take the champagne bottle, look at him and say, what are you drinking? Give the photographer, I deserve a medal. Right? That's what we should be doing. But just today, on Super Blood Moon Wolf Epiphany Day, that's how much God loves us. A grateful heart will never be disappointed, no matter what she says. Last story. In an effort to be culturally relevant, I sometimes ask my daughters to help me with YouTube videos that convey cultural relevance, and I found a great one. Adam Levine is the name of our pop singer, Adam Levine, pop superstar, right? And he sings for the group called Maroon 5. On December 6, 2014, Adam Levine, who is at the top of his career, takes his band, Maroon 5, and goes to as many wedding receptions in Los Angeles as they can visit in one day. He drives really a beat-up Oldsmobile, it looks like, all through Los Angeles. They set up a wooden curtain holder, and they pull a curtain up in the middle of the dance floor during the receptions, and it looks like the bride and groom really don't know what's happening. This is in the music video. It's on YouTube. You should watch it. The name of the song is Sugar. I have no idea what it actually says. I just know the word sugar. Anyway, and so here this group come. They set up this screen with the screen pulled up. The father of the bride instantly steps up. He's intercepted. And right in the middle of this beautiful wedding reception, the screen drops. And here's one of the hottest pop bands ever singing to the bride and groom at their reception. You should see the video. It's really interesting. They pull. Grandparents stand up. They can't. Don't lip read the video. Just saying. But they are overcome. It's Adam Levine, for God's sake, showing up, and they just have a blast, and they party. I had this vision at the wedding in Cana. Can you imagine the middle of the reception? They're drinking the best wine. I'm so sorry, we've run out of Cana 27. We have this other substitute. It's heaven. And the age statement is, oh dear, it's quite old. Wow, I hope this will be satisfactory. Can you imagine? The screen drops, and there's Jesus. Wow. Can you imagine, as I close, this wedding couple in Cana, 30, 40 years on? I'd like to picture them on a porch, hand in hand, sipping wine, reflecting on the journey that they've had together. It'd be amazing. Because at their wedding, the screen dropped and Jesus showed up. Because Jesus always shows up. How is Jesus showing up for us? You don't need to be on a mountaintop or hire somebody. How is Jesus showing up for us today? Where does the screen drop for you? Where does it drop for me? Right here, just like that, with all that love. A grateful heart will never be disappointed.